Welcome to Medit Orthodontic Suite. Today's training is going to take us through how to go from starting a patient all the way through the simulation stage. This process is intended to be done by a dental assistant, but can also be done by a doctor. And the idea is between scanning the patient through the setup to the simulation before calling the doctor into the room. So the first step is to create a new patient. So I can click on create a new patient here, or create a new case, either one, and it will allow me to create a patient name and start to register that patient. For this exercise, I've already created this. We'll do 1177. And then from here, you could either scan the patient once that patient's been made and scan in the data using your Medit scanner. Or if you have scans already done or from a different machine, from a different device, you can use this attach file to attach your STL files or your intraoral scans, both the upper and the lower, the mandible and the maxilla. And then I also, for this case, have attached in a cephalometric x-ray as well as photos. Now, all these other images are optional for the simulation. We'll talk about the advantages and disadvantages to having all these different records available. Once I've got all the patient files uploaded and ready, for this case, 1177, I'm going to hit the MOS button, which will launch Medit Orthodontic Suite. If you scan this with a Medit scanner, the maxilla and the mandible will automatically be assigned. If you scan it with anywhere else, or if you brought in those files from elsewhere, you'll need to assign all this data. So at the start, I'm going to assign the mandible, I'm going to assign the maxilla. If you have a cephalometric x-ray, we advise you to put the cephalometric x-ray in. If you don't have your cephalometric x-ray at the time that you are running the simulation, it's okay. What will happen is that it'll treat this case as if it's a skeletal class 1 patient. So you don't get the extra advantage of taking into consideration the skeletal relationship when creating these simulations. Now I can also assign facial photos, panoramic photos, or intraoral photos, or whatever other records you have to this case. This is completely optional. It does not change the simulations in any way, but it is nice for your doctor to be able to review these files when they are going through this orthodontic simulation process. Once I've assigned all the data, I hit confirm. The first stage here is to trim the intraoral scan if necessary. Now, if you use the Medit scanner, typically when you're doing the scanning is the appropriate time in which to clean up the scan and make sure you haven't scanned your finger in or have excess data or have extra features that are there. But if you forgot to do it at that stage or need to clean it up, we did add all those tools here for you to do that. Now this one's in good shape, so we'll just move forward here. Now, with all these steps, artificial intelligence is going to be placing points and doing a lot of these actions for you. You always have the ability to override the artificial intelligence, but it's designed to make it go much faster and much smoother. So if you have all the teeth, artificial intelligence will very quickly place 4 points and set the occlusal plane. So the 4 points are placed on the cusp tips of the 4s, as well as on the distal buccal cusp of the 6s. If for some reason the AI could not find those points, you can easily place those points yourself. The big point on this is to look on this right-hand side and see, does this look like an accurate representation of the occlusal plane? If you're happy with that, you can hit next. In the next phase, the software is going to be searching to do an auto segmentation of each teeth. So the major things that you need to do on this stage is 1, check the numbers. So go through each tooth, make sure the numbering of each tooth is correct. I can right click and I can rotate these models and make sure that all the teeth are painted how I want them to be painted. So, and we have a different color code for each tooth, make it easy for your eyes to see the designation between each one. Now the software has done a very good job of identifying all these teeth. Now I can also go over here. If I see any primary teeth, I could indicate the tooth is a primary tooth or a partially erupted tooth. If I plan on placing a prosthesis in here, an implant or a restoration of some type, I can indicate that as well. If the patient has an implant, I can pin the tooth because that tooth cannot move if an implant has been placed. And I can also plan extractions if I know I'm going to have to remove a tooth because it's damaged or for some other reason. So you have all these options on the left-hand side. But in this case, everything's looking good, and so we'll move on. Now, these next 2 stages only occur if you've inputted in the cephalometric x-ray. So again, that is optional. This software will run without a cephalometric x-ray, treats every case that doesn't have one as if it's a skeletal class 1. However, if you do, the AI will auto trace this cephalometric x-ray. Now, it's not a complete tracing. It only has 12 points at the moment. We did that on purpose, trying to minimize the amount of points so that it would be much more accurate. And we're getting it accurate almost 99% of the time. If you see a point that needs to be moved, you can click here and move around that point. The red points will affect the simulation. The green points are just for looks. This one seems to be in pretty good shape, so we're going to move on. In the next phase, the AI is going to attach the model onto the Ceph. The purpose of this is every Ceph machine creates a little bit different scale. So trying to do a Ceph measurement based upon that, we need to scale that. Now, the software knows the exact size of the intraoral scan. So by identifying a point on the anterior and posterior of both the model and the Ceph, we're able to scale that Ceph as well as give a nice unique view that we'll be using in the future. So the numbers come out here, and for the AP, we use widths and AMB. For the skeletal vertical, we use MMPA, and we also measure the incisor inclination for both the upper and lower. We do have a traffic light system here that's designed to make it easy for case selection, understanding how difficult the case is, as well as what you need to potentially diagnose around if you have an issue. Using this question mark up here, I can see each one of these different tracings, why these numbers are calculated this way, and then understand where the traffic lights come in to indicate what is the concerns. So this one looks okay, so we'll move on. Now, this next stage is the first stage that doesn't have any AI built in. It'll always start off with medium ovoid, and the user needs to select the best arch form to maintain. So what we're looking for here is indicating to the software, this is the current shape of the arch. So you have 10 different options. So if I click on this caret down here, I can scroll through and I can click on all the different options and find the best shape. Now, the important thing that I have here is I need this gray line here to divide the arch in half. So on this model, I've got this little indicator right here of where that is. Looking at the distance between the molar and the arch form, I'm looking for symmetry on both sides to make sure that's positioned correctly. Now, for this case, you're generally going to start with the lower because in orthodontics, typically the lower is the constraining arch. So it's always good to choose the arch form based upon the lower arch. Because I can see there's so much crowding on this side, I found a very good arch form for the anterior of this case. And then on the posterior, I'm leaving a little bit of an expansion to account for how much crowding there is in the upper. Now, your doctor can always come back and adjust this. So the best thing to do is just find the best fit that you can and then move on. So you generally want to have coordinating arches in orthodontics. And so you do have the ability to have uncoordinated ones. And as an orthodontist, there's reasons for doing that. But in most cases, or as an assistant, we would recommend that you do choose coordinated arch forms on both the upper and the lower so that the arches fit together to the best. The next stage, AI is going to try to find the bite classification. So when I'm looking at the bite, what the AI is trying to find is it's trying to find the buccal groove of the lower 6 and the mesial buccal cusp of the upper 6. So in this case, it's probably right around 3.5 or something like that. And really what we're looking for is you can do it off the molar or off the cuspid or wherever you want. The big important part of this is if I look at this arch and I can see what the bite classification is and roughly by how much, making sure these numbers accurately reflect roughly how much bite classification is on each side. So in this case, about 375 on this side, 1.91 on that side, that seems pretty good. Comes out as a class 2 case. So now I'm going to see class 2 simulations. So from here, I can click next. And now the simulations will be run. At this point, if you're the dental assistant that's been running these simulations and preparing this for the doctor, you probably have the patient in the chair. You were able to do this as you get a little bit of experience. It should take you about 2.5 to 3 minutes to get to this stage. And this is an excellent time to call your doctor in and say the patient is ready for you to start talking to them. While the doctor goes in, I'd recommend, if you do not have a cephalometric x-ray, to put it in what's called the double occlusal view. The good part about this is sometimes the software has a difficult time identifying the center axis of the tooth. So this is a very safe way for the patient to look at the mouth, start self-diagnosing themselves, while not having to worry about some tooth having a weird shape or being positioned incorrectly. And allowing the doctor to come in and view this and be able to talk through with the patient if there is any concerns like that where the AI misdiagnosed a certain tooth. So if you do not have a cephalometric x-ray, we recommend this view. If I take the roller on the center wheel, and I can roll it in and out. If I click on both the left and the right at the same time, I can move the models both bodily. If you do have a cephalometric x-ray, a lot of doctors love this viewpoint, which is a ceph overlay. So on the left-hand side, you have the original scan data. On the right-hand side, we have what's called non-extraction arch form to maintain is always where it starts, which is I'm going to hold the 6 in place, I'm going to level to the occlusal plane and straighten to the arch form. For your understanding, this would be basically just straightening these teeth with no mechanics. And you can talk to the patient briefly about if we just straighten the teeth and didn't do any mechanics, this is what you'd see. And this is such a valuable tool for the patients to see because right away they can see if I want to straighten my teeth, I've got to place some mechanics in here because I do not want these teeth to go so far forward. So again, this is another safe viewpoint to have on the screen while the doctors come in the room, where the patient can start to understand some orthodontics, start to see what they want to see, and really lead to a good conversation with the doctor. So with everything going smoothly, this again should take about 2.5 minutes. Now we're going to transition to start talking about when unique situations arise and the software needs you to kind of override some of the artificial intelligence.